Welcome, Barbara. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'd love to hear a little bit about why you joined Homemade.
Well, it was really an answer to prayer for me. I had gained a lot of weight, and I went to visit my son who lives in Naples, Florida, and he had been to visit a dietitian, and his blood numbers were not good at all. He'd gained too much weight, and his health savings account allowed him to be able to get into one-on-one with his dietitian. And he told me about it, and I thought, wow, that sounds great. I wish I had something like that, and I need help. And it was about a week later, after I had visited with him, that I ran across the video that introduced Homemade. And I looked at it and I thought, I could have my own dietitian telling me things that I need to know to help me get my weight down. So I immediately decided that I was going to join. It sounded so good to me. And that's how I came upon the program, because really it was an answer to prayer for me. I had tried everything under the sun to lose weight, and my weight had ballooned much too high. So, and I have bad knees, and I was in a lot of pain. And the doctor told me, unless you lose weight, we can't do knee replacement. And I didn't know how that was going to go. So I was delighted to join Homemade with the goal in mind that my knees are not going to have to stress that much anymore.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's a great goal to have. I'm so happy that, first and foremost, that your son got the help he needed and inspired you to do
Yes.
the same. What a beautiful story. We're so happy to have you here. You've been a member for about 2 months. So I'd love to dive into some of your numbers prior to joining the program.
Okay. Okay. Well, my doctor diagnosed me about 2 years ago with prediabetes, and my A1C had gotten up to 7.1, and so she started me on a low dose of metformin. My weight prior to starting the program was 218 pounds, and for my body size and everything, I was way overweight and needed to get some weight off. And of course, every time I saw my doctor, I would hear the story, "You've got to lose weight, Barbara. You just have to get it off." And I'd come home and say, "I got the lecture again." But I tried, but I could not seem to get the weight off. And part of it was my mindset. My blood sugar was running up about 130, 120 in that category. And so she's had me checking it. But since starting the program, it has come down to about 103 fasting in the morning, and
Wow.
sometimes even a little bit lower than that. And the program has definitely brought those numbers down.
That is fantastic. You are like so close to like normal range. That is incredible. I love hearing that you got it down almost, it sounds almost by like 30 points fasting. That's awesome. That must feel like a huge win for you.
It is, and so far in the program, just 2 months in, I have lost 9 pounds. And
Wow.
this has just been like such a blessing to me, because I just couldn't keep the weight off, even though I tried very hard. And this program's really just changed a lot of things for me.
That's wonderful. We'd love to hear about some of the things that's changed. Do you mind explaining?
Well, not at all. Mindset is probably the biggest thing. My relationship with food was not healthy. I was an emotional eater and a stress eater. And some of the programs I tried, for 5 years, I was a vegan, no milk, no dairy, nothing, but cooking with water, no oils. And it was very difficult for me to follow that. And especially since the rest of my family was not vegan, it was tough to try to
Goodness.
cook things, that everybody would like. Um, and so when I came into the program, I never thought about eating for nourishment and satisfaction. And also that you take things one step at a time, a little step at a time, that your goals don't need to be huge. Take one day at a time, one moment at a time. And just the thought of eating for nourishment and satisfaction made a major shift in the way I looked at food. And I found my medical doctor, orthopedic for my knees, said, I want you to go back on meat and protein because you'll go through surgery better if you have some in your diet. And he said, now you need to keep it lean. And I was delighted that Homemade allowed me to do that. And so I went back to that, and I found such satisfaction in eating because the recipes, the cooking instructions are allowing me to learn how to cook more effectively and have delicious food that is satisfying. And now I don't run for food in between meals, constantly looking to be satisfied.
Yeah, wow, what an incredible shift. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. It's fantastic to hear that you're making all these small little changes. You understand that your mindset is such a vital part of this path that you're going towards your health goals, improving your diabetes, and improving your knees. Have you noticed any shift of inflammation? Like generally, when you have joint pain, it is inflammation, and when you shift your diet towards a more whole, healthy, nourishing diet, your inflammation starts to retreat. Have you noticed that that's the case?
Yes, this one knee is really in bad shape, but it's tolerable because I've noticed I don't have as much pain as I did. I found when I did the yoga class that Anna gave to us, I tried that, and of course I can't quite bend as far as some people can. But after I'd done the yoga program once or twice, the pain let up in my knees. And it was just astounding for me to experience the meditation, the relaxation that goes along with it, the deep breathing. It's just been a whole change in the way in which I approach food and eating, relaxation, and me time, which I never had time for. I raised 4 children, so I never had time for me. But I've learned through this program and through your encouragement to make that time to enjoy what you're doing and, to enjoy eating, taking time for yourself.
Oh, this is music to my ears. I love hearing that you're taking self care time. It is such a huge and vital part of your healthcare that we actually have control over. Of course, nutrition is one of the main things as well, but self care is just such a huge umbrella, and it can mean so many things, like taking time to breathe deeply, which in turn will actually help you manage your blood sugar levels because stress affects blood sugar. So it's incredible when you really look at the big picture of your health and are able to see how all these little tiny actions that you take to take care of yourself are affecting yourself as a whole. And issues like diabetes, high blood pressure, heart health, so much more, inflammation within the body. So I am so happy to hear that you are taking this time for you. Finally, I have I have a daughter, and she's 7 months, and I can't even imagine having 4 kids. It's like I feel like I don't have time for anything personally. So hats off to you for finally getting the time to take care of yourself. I love, love, love it. I'd love to dive into now what your cooking was like prior to Homemade. I know you're quite an experienced cook, and then just hearing a little bit about the little shifts you're making. You did mention that you were vegan for 5 years. So maybe touching base on what spawned that. I'm assuming it's for health purposes that you're trying that out. But yeah, just hearing a little bit about your process of cooking and how that's shifted.
Well, I homeschooled our 4 children for 21 years. And so we needed to eat at home. And I did teach myself how to cook. Went to college, didn't really know how to cook that much, but got a lot of recipes. Unfortunately, a lot of the recipes were based on a very fat-based diet. And I really didn't know how to make food taste good without all of the excess fat. And one thing I've changed that was such a relief to me and even to my husband, when I came into homemade, being able to cook with olive oil made all the difference in the texture and taste of the food. Learning how to sear my food properly, little things like that. Now, yes, I have seared food before, but I didn't have all the techniques. I didn't have all the knife techniques. That was another thing that I learned, how to cut up food without cutting myself. And also just, making the smoothies that are absolutely delicious, satisfying, and nourishing. I'm getting things that I didn't get in my diet before. And so everything I've tried, the chicken with gremolata, my husband raved about that. And just so many of these tips and hints on how to eat healthy and how to cook healthy without overdoing the fats, but having just enough that you're satiated. And I loved that about this program. I mean, that's a heads up right there. And especially, I want to mention that this program is geared for women and men in 50s, 60s, and 70s. And there are very few programs out there that care about people in our age group. And if we can prevent illness or correct it, that is the key for us and for the healthcare system. So this just means the world to me. I'm a doctor's wife, and I firmly believe in good nutrition, but I'm learning so much more and refining my cooking skills with the help of people that know good nutrition. Especially the plant-based, the whole foods, the fresh foods, and eliminating canned goods, frozen meals, things that are not healthy for us with all the additives.
Totally. Woo, yeah, nailed it. No, it's incredible to hear that you understand that this goes so much deeper than just like one person, one individual member. Of course, yes, we love working with the demographic that we do. Women generally in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, some even in their 80s and 90s, that are improving their health and therefore their entire families, their
Right.
friends, their communities are also receiving help as well because they're disseminating this information. They're bringing a healthy dish to a potluck or over to a holiday meal, and people see the transformation. They see like the beautiful color come back in their skin. They see a smile on their face. They see them losing weight. They see them trying on new clothes, wearing something that's a few sizes smaller. It's noticeable. It's a really tangible difference, transformation that happens. And when the community notices, the family notices, and they want to take part, it's changing an entire group of people rather than just one. So it is one of the major reasons that we do work with this group of people. So I'm so happy that you're appreciative and understanding and all for it. We love that. Yeah, wonderful. So you talked a little bit about mindset and the differentiation of when you came into homemade, how you start eating for nourishment and satisfaction. You understand that this is going to change your whole health. What was your mindset prior to the program? If you don't mind talking a little bit about some of the diets that you were on, including.
I have tried so many diets. My husband laughed at me, because it was one after another. It was South Beach, it was Atkins, it was Weight Watchers, it was a CHIP program, it was, I'm trying to think, the keto diet. But each one of them had drawbacks to them. First of all, dieting with me, I'd lose maybe 20 or 30 pounds, and then I'd gain it back and then some, because I couldn't maintain it. I wasn't learning how to eat for nourishment and satisfaction and make my food taste really good so that it was enjoyable when I sat down to a meal, so that I was mindfully eating, not just eating. And a lot of these programs, they had some benefits here and there, but dieting is very restrictive. And when you get restricted for so long, then I would binge. I would just, if somebody had a bag of chips sitting around, I was in them. I was all over them. Or I would eat ice cream, or I would eat something forbidden because I couldn't enjoy certain foods on many of the programs. And or it became burdensome, always calculating your points and your calories and, keeping track and tabs on all these things. Homemade made me feel free, and it took that burden off of me, and it gave me a community of women and men and others that I could relate to, talk to, ask questions of, and get answers. And there's not too many programs that are nutrition led like this program is, where I can find out if I'm stuck on something, where I have support if maybe I've had a rough time, or where I can support someone else and encourage them in the program as well. And that's one of the things that I think membership in this program has made all the difference in the world. We're using this technology, but we're communicating with each other in a meaningful way, and it's helping us to achieve our goals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We love seeing member to member support and understanding, our expert team is always here. We're here 7 days a week coaching in the members only group. And so when people have questions, we love to be there, provide answers reasonably quickly so people can feel supported, so they can make those healthy decisions on a daily basis, meal by meal. We're eating about 3 meals a day. So we like to be able to provide that support rather quickly. But I will also say it warms our hearts and makes us so overjoyed when we see a member post in the members only group. And before we even get to it, there's like 10 other members that have posted support, suggestions, tips that worked for them, because we're all in this together. And each member, while they each have their own health path, a lot of them have very similar situations and can provide support for one another. And it's a beautiful thing to see.
It is. It's wonderful. And that's, I think, probably been the linchpin for me, is being able to go in and try to encourage other people. We all need that. Some days are not easy days, and some days we overdo it, or we get sidetracked and we ate something that maybe we were mindlessly eating again, falling into an old habit. And so this is a life change. And that's one thing my son said to me. He said after he went to this dietitian, she said, this is not just a diet change for you. This is a mind change. This is a life change. And that stuck with me. And then when I joined Homemade and I found out that mindset really is the key, then I thought, wow, this is it. This is what I've been looking for. And this is what I've been missing for a long time. So this, like I said, has been a real blessing to be able to encourage one another as we make this journey to better health.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Barbara. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. I appreciate your time and energy, and I look forward to seeing you in the members only group.
And I look forward to talking with you further and seeing you in the group too.